So you're thinking about moving to Bend, but you know there's negatives to living in Bend, just like there is with anywhere in the world, but you want to learn more about what those negatives are. That's what today's video is going to be all about. What are the negative reasons for living in Bend, or why you wouldn't want to live in Bend? That's what we're going to be touching on today's video. So if it sounds like it's for you, stick around. We're going to be getting after it right now.
If this is your first time on the channel and you'd like to know everything there is to know about living, eating, sleeping, playing, the good and the bad of Bend, Oregon and the surrounding areas, subscribe to the channel, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to know about what's going on here in Bend. My name is Zach Nutter. This is Ryan Rudloff, both licensed brokers with eXp Realty in the state of Oregon. And we've lived here for over 30 years and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. We'd love to connect with you, help you make a smooth move here to Bend. That being said, we are going to jump into the 5 reasons not to move to Bend, Oregon.
Starting with number 1 right now. Okay, reason number 1 not to move to Bend. The growth of Bend. Bend is growing at an alarming pace. Every year there's data that comes out that suggests that Bend is the fastest growing area of Oregon and one of the fastest growing towns, mid to small towns in America. And that's obviously the case. Living here for 30 years, Bend has grown up and changed over so many different times. It feels like every 5 to 10 years, if you haven't been here for that amount of time, you don't recognize what Bend has become. And that can be a good thing, but we're focusing on the bad part of that today. A lot of people move here and they like Bend the way it is when they got here. It's what drew them to this area. And then all of a sudden, more and more people discover Bend, decide they want to live here, they move here as well. Our infrastructure can't necessarily keep up with the pace of growth. And so it creates some sort of problem here and there, problems that we have to deal with. But ultimately speaking, Bend is going to be a very, very large town in 20 to 30 years. It already is growing, and it already is a very big town, but it's going to be a city, and it just continues to grow at a very, very fast pace. And a lot of people get turned off by that, especially if they have an expectation for what Bend is when they arrive here. So something to consider for sure.
One of the ways you can see it just driving through town right now is all of the large structures that are being built. So we had a rule in place for the city of Bend for quite a while that you couldn't have a building that was over either 3 or 4 stories tall. And they changed that. They raised the height limit to like what, 7 or 8 stories?
7, yeah.
So now we're seeing all these massive structures going up. There's cranes in the sky everywhere. You can tell that there is just an immense amount of growth happening. You'll see new construction neighborhoods all over the place. So it's very, very easy just to see with your eye the growth that's happening as you're driving around here in Bend. We have a video on rising structures in Bend that we'll put a little card to up there, but it's very noticeable. It's not stopping. I read an article not too long ago that Bend is one of the most underdeveloped mountain towns. I think they claimed it was the most underdeveloped mountain town in the US. So what does that tell you? There's a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of people eyeing coming here to be part of that growth. So it's definitely has its downsides, but it also has a lot of upsides with it. Great restaurants, a lot more activities to do locally, a lot more events. Our amphitheater that has world-class musicians. We have 40 to 60 concerts a year in that amphitheater alone, and not including some of the smaller venues that we have that we get some smaller artists to come to. So there's a ton of good that goes with the growth, but do know that we are growing, and what Bend looks like now, it's not going to look like that in a decade or 2 decades from now. There will be a lot of additional great things that come, but there's also going to be other things that aren't so enjoyable, which is where we're going to go next. The second thing you should know is traffic, right? It's a major downside.
Oh yeah.
And people laugh, you know, you come from LA, Seattle, Portland, some of the San Francisco, like, traffic, 100,000 people. Well, this town was not built to have 100,000 people. So as a community, we are scrambling to adjust the roads, to build overpasses. We are roundabout city USA. We have roundabouts everywhere. Traffic is a problem around here.
Traffic is a problem, and 100,000 people, and our infrastructure is probably built for 70,000. Who knows what the exact number is, but consider the 100,000 that live here, and then tack on another 100,000 on any given weekend during the summertime, and all of a sudden you have a log jam just about anywhere you go. And most of our roads still are single lane. We have a parkway that goes from north to south, and that's 2 lanes each way, but that's really the only like freeway type road that we have. Everything else, except maybe Greenwood Avenue and parts of Reed Market Road, are going to be single lanes, and they all go into, typically speaking, a single lane roundabout. There are a couple dual lane roundabouts here and there, but it's just a big bottleneck in a lot of areas of town, especially during rush hour in the morning, rush hour at night, and then if you tack on the tourist season or a really busy weekend with whatever event might be going on, it gets pretty congested, and that's something that we just have to deal with the fact that Bend is growing at such an alarming pace.
You can definitely feel it when tourist season's high. You can feel the traffic increase. The thing is the reality of it is we used to be able to get across town in 10 minutes. Now it takes 15 or 20 minutes.
It's really not that bad.
We're not talking hours or an hour to commute across town. You learn the ways you go, the roads to avoid during the busy times of the day, and you find ways to get around quicker. But traffic is a real problem here.
Yeah, we're not talking like hour-long waits on the 405 trying to go from milepost 1 to milepost 6, right? It just feels like the traffic is increasing, which it is, and it's based off of A, the population growth that's so fast, and B, the fact that the infrastructure is set up for more of a small town vibe, and that's something that we will adjust to, and we will grow as the city grows, and the infrastructure will improve over the course of time. Okay, reason number 3 to not move to Bend: the weather. All right, we talk about the weather all the time. It's sunny 300 days a year. It is, but it's also cold sometimes, and sometimes that cold drags on and we get tired of it. Okay, anybody who's not necessarily up at the mountain all day every day hoping that the snow stays forever is going to get frustrated or a little sick and tired of the winter as it drags on, especially when we get some of those teaser days of sunshine like we've had over the last few days. 55 degrees, 62 degrees, whatever it is, it's nice. People are out in their t-shirts, they're enjoying themselves, and then all of a sudden the next day rolls around and here we are, snow flurries again. I get that it's still February, but we look ahead, we get excited about the spring to come, and we realize as locals that it's still a couple months away before we get that flip that switches on to the summer-like weather.
Yeah, if you don't enjoy cold weather, Bend's probably going to be a tough place for you to live year-round. You can see right now we've got a little snow flurry, but I can also see rays of sunshine casting down on the river here, and just probably a mile over there it's completely blue skies. So the rest of our day we may get blue skies and a beautiful sunset over the Cascade Mountains.
Yeah.
So our weather here can change quite a bit hour to hour. Being the weatherman here would be a difficult job, I believe. It shifts so much. We're supposed to get a ton of snow on Thursday. We were supposed to get a bunch last night, and we just got a little drizzle of snow, if you will. We're out here on the trail. It's not real muddy. It's pretty nice, actually. This area gets a decent amount of sunshine. But yeah, the winters do drag a little bit here. It gets cooler in the beginning of winter than a lot of places. In the summertime, if it's 100 degrees at night, a lot of times, once the sun goes down, you can open your windows and it'll cool down. You get that breeze off the mountains and it really cools down here at night. It's not super cold, but that's one of the things I truly enjoy about our summers, is that a lot of places you go where it's hot, you can't escape the heat. You have to go indoors to escape the heat,
yeah,
or to the water. Here at nighttime, we get a reprieve from that extreme heat that we see. And by extreme heat, I mean we may get a week or two that it breaches 100 degrees. For the most part, in the middle of summer, we're in the mid to high 80s, low 90s. So it's an incredible climate in the summertime.
Yeah, that is a big luxury right there, is the fact that we get such big decreases for nighttime lows in the summertime, whereas other places it can be 85 and then 79 at night. Daytime high 85, nighttime low 79. Here it'll be 85 and 49 or 52, something like that. And it's just really pleasant in the morning time as the sun's coming up. But this video is about the negatives.
Yeah,
so
if you don't like the cold, probably not the right place for you.
That's right. So we always kind of inch back towards the positives because there's so many, but we got to focus on the reasons why you shouldn't move to Bend. Maybe these are things that you can overcome. So we'll get to the next one right now. All right, reason number 4 why you shouldn't move to Bend. We're isolated over here.
Sunshine. Sorry.
Sun's coming out. We're isolated, right? We're over here on the other side of the mountains. Bend is the biggest city in this area. There's just not a lot going on, right? Yeah, we have an amphitheater now. We get some shows, but that's really new compared to where we've been. I mean, ultimately speaking, we don't really have big sporting events in this area. If you want to go watch a professional basketball team, that's all we have for professional sports in the state. That's the Blazers up in Portland. We've only got 4 Division I schools in the state, and 2 of them are pretty small in their own right. We've got Oregon and Oregon State. They're the big schools. So you got to travel over the mountains to get to a big football game or another sporting event at one of those 2 respective universities. But Bend here, again, isolated. There's just not a ton of big time events if you're coming from a big city and you're used to something going on 4 or 5 nights a week.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of nightlife, you know, if you're looking for a lot of clubs, places to dance, things like that. There's not a lot of that. There's a ton of great restaurants, high-end restaurants, high-quality food, high-quality beverages, breweries, things like that, but not much nightlife. And for me, I love, when I go to the big city, I love being in the city, catching a ball game, whether that be basketball, football, baseball, hockey, whatever it is, and then going out to a nice dinner, or vice versa, doing the dinner before and after. So that's one thing we don't have here, right? We're an outdoor recreation mecca, but we don't have those kind of big city lifestyle amenities as far as sports teams, major events. I was trying to think of some other major events that some bigger areas that aren't as isolated have. Nothing's coming to mind because we do have a lot of the concerts.
Yeah.
And that's growing, but it's still not, I mean, it's still not the Rose Garden. It's not a big football stadium, you know, where you're drawing Taylor Swift or some of those bigger names. But we are still getting, I mean, we had Kenny Chesney here.
Yeah.
Dave Matthews usually comes every year. Jack Johnson, Ben Harper come a lot. We've got a lot of reggae, stick figure, Revolution.
We're getting there.
Yeah, so a lot of great artists, but no major events, you know, where you've got 40,000 people, 25,000 people, 40,000 people, 50,000 people. We just don't have those kind of events here.
But they're probably right around the corner. That's the thing. It's like we talk about, okay, what are the negatives? No events, but we have the amphitheater. It's been here for 20 plus years, but it just kind of converted over. Its title sponsor used to be Les Schwab, now it's Hayden Homes. And Hayden Homes has actually basically transformed it into like this huge venue for all kinds of events. And so we're trying to think of the negatives associated with this for this video specifically. There's no events, but now we're getting all these huge artists, which is awesome. But like Zach said, no crazy sporting events.
No, one thing that comes to mind for some major events that we are starting to get is festivals. What's that festival that started last year?
At the fairgrounds.
At the fairgrounds. We have a fantastic fairgrounds.
Yeah, that was huge.
But there was I take that back. There was probably 20,000 people there.
Yeah, that was a big one.
It was massive. They're doing it again this year.
Yep.
Kind of a proof of concept last year. I wish I could remember the name of it.
It was country. Yeah.
It's country, kind of folk music, but I assume since they've proved concept there, they're going to, there'll be more and more. But I remember talking to a lot of the vendors, and they weren't from here because the event was so big, they didn't have enough local staff trained that they could host the event with all local staff. So a lot of people came from out of the area to work that event. And that just tells you we're not that geared up for those kind of events.
right? And that even piggybacks on some of the other negatives about living here, is that we're not there. We're not grown up enough. Our infrastructure is not quite prepared for this surge of growth we're getting, but eventually we will be.
So that leads us to reason number 5 not to move to Bend, and it's right behind me. It's these juniper trees, and we have a ton of trees around us, a lot of pollen in the air during our spring, and a lot of people suffer from allergy season here. So if you're somebody that has really large allergy problems, some people don't even know that they have allergy issues until they do move here. I didn't really have allergies until a couple years ago, and my body's changed and I've developed an allergy, and I don't know what it's to, but a lot of people will come here and they actually can't live here because the allergy season is really bad for them. There are steps you can take, I believe, medically to help with that, but some people just don't want to deal with a lot of the allergy season stuff that happens here.
And allergies are obviously a huge thing, but the other thing that is kind of similar to allergies is the smoke that we get, and we've talked a little bit about that on previous videos too. Typically in the summertime, very dry climate, we'll get forest fires, but the smoke really doesn't show up until August. And that's been a big drawback the last 5 years or so. It's almost like it's forecasted where the fires in the Northwest, or the western region of the United States, there's just a ton of them. There's hundreds, if not thousands, but we get some in the Northwest, and that smoke will come over the mountains, or if they're on this side of the mountains, it'll come over and just kind of linger in Bend in Central Oregon for days on end. And just like a cloud that covers up. You see the snow or the sun barely through the clouds of smoke, but they linger. It prevents you from enjoying the outdoors or anything, and you just have to deal with that. It obviously creates huge health risks, but that's something that we have to deal with, and it's generally short-lived, but the last 5 years or so have been very interesting because I don't know about you, Zach, but my memory before the last 5 years is that, yeah, we have forest fires in the summer, but the smoke was never something that just like showed up and lingered for weeks on end like it has.
Absolutely. No, it wasn't something that really caused much issue for us when we were growing up here. I don't remember it ever challenging a sporting event or anything like that, but that seems to be a regular occurrence now, and I'm not sure what the reasoning is for that. But it is an issue. It is something that you should know about if you're thinking about moving here. Between that and allergies, and those two can kind of coincide together. There are some definite downsides to living here. You know, we pointed out some of the major ones that affect us, but there's always going to be stuff. There's always going to be downsides to anywhere you live.
Right.
With that being said, there are so many upsides to living here. We're not going to get into it. We have videos about that. There's so many reasons why people would want to live here. But we like to share everything with you guys. We want you to be well armed, well equipped with the most knowledge that you can have before you decide to make a move here. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If there's anything else you'd like to see, if you'd like to talk to us personally, give us a call. Our number's down in the description. We'd love to chat with you guys. So thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful day.
Have a great day. Thanks for watching.